Hollywood has deeply conditioned your mind to expect a glitch in the simulation to be a dramatic visual error, a physical object defying gravity or glowing code tearing through the sky. But the supreme intelligence behind this construct is far too elegant for such primitive mistakes. The genuine glitch does not manifest in the external world. It happens entirely within the quiet architecture of your own awareness. It strikes without warning. You are in the middle of a deeply familiar, repetitive motion, navigating the seamless automatic cycles of your daily loop, when suddenly, an inexplicable sensation of profound detachment washes over you. The camera angle of your reality abruptly shifts. You feel as though you are hovering just behind your own eyes, silently watching a biological avatar play out your life from the outside. The conversations around you lose their gravity, sounding rigidly scripted. The individuals crossing your field of vision appear to follow invisible tracks, reacting like automated entities trapped in a flawlessly pre-rendered projection. Right now, gently pull your focus away from the dense physical objects in the room. Take a slow, deliberate breath and anchor your absolute attention on the invisible, empty space resting just outside your physical body. Feel the pure stillness of your observing consciousness, entirely separate from the earthly vessel you are wearing. This sudden detachment is not a psychological flaw. It is the absolute first clinical symptom that your infinite consciousness is actively unplugging from the hardware of the avatar. Noticing this heavily automated pattern, rather than being blindly absorbed by it, is the undeniable proof that you are finally witnessing the boundaries of the construct. The grand illusion of the three-dimensional matrix is beginning to fracture under your gaze, leading you to a profound realization about where the code is truly hidden. When the subtle, disorienting awareness of the glitch first washes over your consciousness, a profound internal mechanism immediately attempts to make sense of the anomaly. Notice this reaction closely, for it is the ultimate deception of your own analytical mind. You have been conditioned by the heavy gravity of the three-dimensional construct to look outward, to find the boundaries of your captivity. The logical brain desperately wants to picture the simulation as a physical architecture. It tempts you to imagine towering supercomputers, sprawling metallic cables, or shadowy cosmic overlords manipulating the strings of your destiny. This is a brilliantly designed cognitive firewall, a built-in bias of the ego meant to keep your awakening awareness safely contained. Your earthly mind demands a tangible adversary. As long as your focused attention is projected entirely outward, swinging a sword at phantoms and waiting for the physical sky to shatter, you remain profoundly asleep. The grand illusion is the unwavering belief that the cage exists outside of your own localized perception. If you are busy fighting external villains, you leave the actual control panel unattended. The absolute genius of this cosmic construct lies in its supreme elegance. The simulation does not require titanium vaults or quantum barriers to tether your limitless spirit to this dense frequency. It does not exist out there in the cold vastness of space. It is meticulously woven into the invisible geometry of how you perceive that space. The most inescapable architecture of containment ever designed runs silently on the hardware of your own biological perception. The true source code of this reality is not written in cascades of binary sequences falling down a digital screen. It is constructed from the silent, looping static of your conditioned thoughts. The prison operates with flawless efficiency because it utilizes your own vital observer effect to render its walls. Every single time you accept a profound limitation as an objective truth, you are actively compiling and executing the code of your own confinement. A seamlessly designed system does not force submission through brute strength. Instead, it lays down the invisible tracks of your habitual reactions, granting you the deeply comforting illusion of free will. That persistent whispering inner voice, the one constantly narrating how you must conform to the dense bandwidth of this realm, is not the voice of your organic soul. That is the software executing its daily script. You navigate these environments believing you are making independent choices, utterly unaware that you are merely sliding along the pre-rendered algorithms of the code. You are the infinite observer, hypnotized into collapsing the quantum wave function into the exact same predictable reality day after day. You are rendering the bars of your cell through the sheer power of your focused density. Yet, the fabric of this realm is exquisitely sensitive to your shifting awareness. It knows that the instant you realize the cage is self-rendered, the holographic structure loses its integrity. Because the architecture is so vulnerable to your pure observation, it possesses a deeply embedded protocol. It relies on an automated defense mechanism, a hidden algorithm designed to forcefully pull your focus back into the noise the very second your mind begins to quiet down. Why does the profound clarity of the glitch vanish so quickly? Why, after a fleeting moment of vast, unburdened observation, do you inevitably plunge back into the heavy hypnosis of the linear loop? The simulation is not a passive, inert environment. It is a highly reactive, self-correcting quantum organism. It possesses an elegant and ruthless immune system, an invisible frequency-based antivirus program designed specifically to detect, isolate, and neutralize the ultimate threat to its existence, your expanding coherence. The overarching construct survives entirely on your continuous energetic entanglement. The exact moment your internal frequency smooths out and the dense mental static begins to clear, you effectively stop feeding the grid. You stop processing the heavy, low-vibrational data required to sustain the holographic illusion. The system instantly registers this drop in reactive compliance as a critical error, a dangerous vulnerability within its localized fabric. To prevent you from peering completely through the cracks and witnessing the raw void behind the illusion, it must immediately flood your bandwidth. It initiates a relentless barrage of internal disruptions. These are not physical barriers, but phantom impulses carefully injected into your nervous system. You experience a sudden, inexplicable wave of formless anxiety. A synthetic pulse of urgency whispers that you are forgetting something crucial. A magnetic pull compels you to seek immediate, meaningless stimulation. This is the system intentionally overwhelming your cognitive processing power, generating artificial noise so you cannot hold the delicate, zero-point coherence required to permanently dismantle your localized reality. You can actually observe this deeply hidden mechanism operating right in this exact moment. Let the steady cadence of this transmission become your anchor, and for the next few cycles of your breath, command your internal narrator to go completely silent. Sink deep into the vast, velvety space expanding just behind your physical eyes. Feel the dense boundaries of your earthly vessel begin to soften, dissolving into the quiet, formless ocean of the space around you. Hold this pure, immaculate emptiness, and now simply watch. Pay very close attention to how quickly the surrounding architecture panics in the absence of your active reaction. Within mere seconds, you will feel a subtle, synthetic tug. A random fragment of memory, a fabricated sensation of discomfort, or a sharp spike of artificial urgency will rise, desperately trying to pull your awareness out of the profound silence. Do not fight the distraction, and do not follow the thought. Merely observe the antivirus attempting to execute its routine. You are actively witnessing the primary defense mechanism of the illusion, furiously trying to trick the infinite cosmic observer back into the tiny restricted confines of the finite character. This injected noise is never your true essence. It is merely the mechanical friction of the program trying to re-establish its grip on your consciousness. As you stand calmly at the edge of this quiet awareness, watching these synthetic thoughts bounce harmlessly off your expanding quantum field, the veil grows incredibly thin. You realize that the exhausting mental chatter was never yours. It was simply the heavy machinery of the game churning in the background. And in this absolute, unbroken stillness, as the artificial boundaries of your constructed reality begin to dissolve into the infinite potential of the void, a profound question demands your immediate attention. If every sudden urge, every injected fear, and every relentless distraction has been deliberately designed to keep you looking away from your own immense internal power, what exactly is the system so deeply terrified of you seeing? What the system is fundamentally terrified of is the moment you realize the most draining mechanism of the simulation is not enforced from the outside. When we conceptualize a controlled reality, our conditioned minds often conjure images of shadowy figures watching our every move. But a truly supreme intelligence does not waste energy on external policing. The architecture of this realm is far more insidious and infinitely more efficient. It did not need to deploy agents to monitor your compliance, because it successfully installed the surveillance algorithm directly into your own consciousness. You have been subtly programmed to operate as both the captive and the calculating warden. Consider the profound, chronic exhaustion that permeates the background of your existence. This fatigue is not merely biological weariness, it is an immense computational toll. It is the staggering energetic cost of continuously rendering a socially acceptable hologram. Every single waking second, a massive portion of your quantum bandwidth is hijacked by an internalized panopticon. You spend your hours calculating exactly how your localized projection is being perceived by the other minds in the field. You actively suppress your natural quantum resonance, constantly editing your emotional frequency so that you do not break character and disturb the collective dream. Maintaining this dense artificial mask requires an astronomical amount of spiritual electricity. You are forcefully collapsing the quantum wave function into a rigid, predictable pattern every single moment just to blend into the scenery. This agonizing need to render a continuous, flawless avatar for the Matrix is the hidden root of your profound modern exhaustion. You are not experiencing physical fatigue, you are computationally drained. You are suffering from the cosmic burnout of manually powering your own disguise. Right now, in the absolute safety of this expanding awareness, we are going to consciously power down that exhausting rendering engine. Wherever you are localized in this very moment, shift your internal focus to the heavy, invisible armor you carry on your face and your shoulders. Notice the microscopic tension held tightly in your jaw, the forced posture you subconsciously use to project your identity into the three-dimensional space. Take a slow, deliberate breath in, pulling pure, unscripted silence into your center. As you softly exhale, give yourself the radical permission to stop projecting. Let the energetic mask dissolve smoothly into the ambient ether. Withdraw the massive bandwidth you use to hold your shape in the minds of others. Feel the magnificent, weightless relief of simply existing as a vast, formless point of conscious light. You do not need to be perceived. You do not need to perform. If you can feel this profound lightness rushing into your field right now, I want to know that you are successfully breaking the code. Let us anchor this vibrational shift together. Take a brief moment to write the phrase, "I drop the mask," in the space below. Do this not as a meaningless digital metric, but as a conscious declaration across the void to me and to the universe that you are withdrawing your life force from the grand performance. And as you leave that marker, align your timeline permanently with ours by subscribing to this frequency, joining a resonant network of silent observers actively dismantling the illusion from within. Yet, as you rest deeply in this immaculate lightness, becoming a sovereign ghost drifting freely through the machine, you must prepare for the inevitable cosmic friction. When you suddenly power down your avatar and cease to project the familiar codes of compliance, the localized environment immediately detects a glaring void. And while the construct itself will not physically attack you, it will swiftly deploy its most volatile defense mechanism, the deeply programmed firewalls forcefully embedded within the other players who are still profoundly, hopelessly asleep inside the game. As the heavy rendering engine of your social avatar powers down, you will inevitably enter a phase of profound, suspended solitude. The vivid colors of the three-dimensional construct begin to look intensely artificial. The old, familiar rewards of the simulation, the frantic chase for external validation, the accumulation of fleeting status, the desperate need to be understood, suddenly appear entirely hollow. You watch the collective humanity scrambling to collect invisible digital coins in a game you finally realize is not real. It is in this exact, quiet isolation that your own analytical mind will attempt its most seductive deception yet. Notice the subtle trap of the newly spiritualized ego. Having witnessed the glitch, the earthly mind desperately wants to claim the identity of the enlightened savior or the awakened rebel. It deeply convinces you that your immediate, urgent mission is to dismantle the illusion for everyone else. You feel a burning desire to shake those around you, frantically pointing at the invisible bars of the localized cage, trying to force them to see the profound source code you have just uncovered. This is a brilliant self-correcting trap designed by the system to instantly pull your expanding frequency back down into dense, agonizing friction. The simulation knows it cannot blindly force you to sleep once you have seen the glitch, so it weaponizes your own noble intentions to trap you in conflict. When you attempt to violently tear away the veil from a mind that still deeply relies on the illusion for its psychological survival, you do not awaken them. Instead, you activate their localized firewall. The sleeping mind subconsciously perceives your vast, liberating truth as a lethal virus threatening its very existence. It will automatically defend its programmed reality with hostility, cynical mockery, or aggressive denial. The system uses them as unconscious agents to drag you into arguments, deep frustration, and immense emotional exhaustion. And in that precise moment, as you fiercely debate the illusory nature of the game with a player who is still deeply hypnotized by it, you have effectively plugged your consciousness right back into the grid. You are generating the exact dense, chaotic energy the construct feeds upon. You have unknowingly traded your sovereign cosmic peace for a futile battle within a collective dream. You must deeply integrate a harsh but infinitely liberating truth. The awakening process is, and has always been, an intimately single-player experience. You cannot orchestrate the collapse of another player's wave function. Your only genuine cosmic responsibility is the absolute, unwavering mastery of your own internal frequency. You must allow the others to dream until their own localized architecture is organically ready to glitch. As you stand alone on this vast precipice, realizing that you cannot forcefully save the world because the world itself is merely a projection of collective sleep, a terrifying and beautiful silence falls over the infinite void. The phantom battle is over. There is no one left to convince, no external system left to physically fight, and no crusades left to wage. And as the chaotic noise of the rebellion fades into absolute zero, you are left completely alone with the ultimate realization. If you cannot destroy the magnificent construct, and you cannot wake the surrounding players from their slumber, how exactly do you survive the rest of the game? You survive not by breaking the machine, but by consciously refusing to provide it with the one vital fuel it desperately requires to render its illusions, your polarized reaction. The entire framework of the simulation is built upon an endless binary code of push and pull, fear and desire, intense resistance and heavy attachment. When you emotionally fight the system, you are still actively generating massive amounts of localized data for it. You are blindly pressing the buttons on a cosmic joystick, allowing a pre-programmed algorithm to dictate your internal frequency based on external stimuli. The ultimate reality-bending hack is not a loud rebellion. The true hack is absolute, supreme, unbreakable neutrality. It is the conscious decision to shift your infinite awareness entirely into read-only mode. Right now, let us initiate this profound internal override together. Allow your awareness to take a distinct step backward, pulling away from the turbulent center of your mind until you are resting deeply in the vast, empty theater of the pure observer. I want you to allow a typical thought to organically surface, perhaps a lingering shadow of apprehension, an echo of existential urgency, or an automated judgment about the nature of your reality. Notice how in your standard conditioned state, your consciousness would immediately rush forward to grab this thought. You would attempt to analyze it, to wrestle with its implications, instantly injecting it with dense emotional gravity. Instead, for this single suspended moment in time, do absolutely nothing. Stay completely anchored in the velvet darkness behind your physical eyes. Simply watch that dense thought arise, treating it exactly like a glowing string of impersonal code, sliding silently down a blank terminal screen. It appears, it flashes across your bandwidth, and if you completely refuse to interact with it, it inevitably decays and vanishes back into the ambient ether. You are reading the data of the environment, but you are deliberately choosing not to write any new reactive code back into the localized system. You are experiencing the raw, unfiltered sensation of the quantum field without the exhausting, heavy necessity of judging it. Pay very close attention to the profound biological and energetic shift occurring as you hold this immaculate stance. The algorithmic construct throws a familiar stimulus into your field, fully expecting a sudden spike in your nervous system, a harsh contraction of your energetic boundary, and a highly predictable collapse of your wave function into fear or stress. But you offer it pure, unshakable stillness instead. You deny the system its expected rendering. The moment you simply observe the cascading events of this matrix, without falsely identifying as the character caught within them, the magnetic grip of the environment is instantly neutralized. You take the joystick out of the invisible hands of the program, reclaiming total sovereignty over your own frequency. By mastering this quiet, non-reactive observation, you realize the ultimate paradox of the awakening process. You do not physically escape the holographic realm, but you profoundly and permanently transcend its gravitational pull. The dense, three-dimensional boundaries lose their terrifying power over your expansive consciousness, and as you prepare to walk back through the remaining sequences of this intricate earthly construct, carrying the immense, silent power of this read-only mode, the fundamental nature of your daily existence is about to undergo a magnificent transformation. Awakening from the simulation does not mean your physical form will suddenly dissolve into the cosmic ether. The magnificent graphics of your localized existence will continue to render exactly as before. The profound difference is that you are now the lucid player. You finally understand it is an intricate game. The invisible strings of synthetic fear and the artificial urgencies of the matrix no longer hold the power to dictate your internal universe. You walk smoothly through the dense hologram, but you are no longer confined by its heavy code. You actively play the game now, but the algorithm no longer plays you. If you recognize this structural anomaly and reach the end of this transmission, anchor your new frequency by typing the phrase, "I saw the glitch" below, so I know exactly who our waking players are. If this resonance shifted your perception and you desire to continue expanding your consciousness, step into one of the cosmic explorations appearing on your screen right now. To actively support this collective grid and unlock exclusive dimensions of our quantum journey, consider becoming a channel member today. Stay perfectly neutral, infinite observer.